Hey there everyone, this is Yui. Welcome to episode 0 of FTB Academy. For this one, we're just going to play through the tutorial. So when you first enter, you're going to be greeted with this little tutorial menu. I'm just going to click through it, pause the video if you need to read it. This is just telling you about how to use the quest book. And then on this last one, make sure you hit exit tutorial yes. That doesn't take you out of the school, it just takes you out of that menu. So this quest is designed to be informational, or this mod pack. So I'm not really going to read all this, but take a couple seconds and we'll let you guys pause it if you want. That's just telling you about the mod pack. This is telling you about the school, where you can refresh it, or you can leave. Here's another one. This just wants us to know about JEI, which is a very useful mod. Right, now I think we actually get into it. So this one wants us to go to the storage room. So for this playthrough, I'm probably not going to read any of those quests. The information is a lot in the quests, so I'm just going to kind of do what it wants to do. I'll leave each quest open for a couple seconds so you can read it, but I'm mainly going to focus on the tasks. So this is just telling us about storage. It wants us to open each of the storage ones, which storage crates are among my most favorite beginning storage. Now it's telling us about drawers. It wants us to observe the 3 different drawers. They missed the 2x2, but that's okay. Here we go, refine storage, your end game storage solution. It wants us to open the different things and get a water bucket out, because it gave us a disk drive, as you can see down here. Coincidentally though, it says there are 0 items stored in it, so I think there's an importer or something waiting for a disk to be available. Water bucket. Now it's going to teach us about tanks. All it wants us to do is get a bucket, and to get a bucket, you just deposit the water. Time for some basic automation. It wants us to go to the automation room. They did a real nice job on this. I love the Astral sorcery stuff and these floating text things. Pretty nice. That's what it looks like right now. Oh, there's your hint right there at the bottom. Those are the things you need. You need 1 of each of these. So if we look at the quests, it's going to teach us about filtering. Main thing here to know is whitelist and blacklist. The important part. It wants us to set all of them. So we're going to start with the easy ones. Dirt only. We're going to whitelist dirt. And that one's done. Ores only, we can whitelist all 3 ores. That's all we have right now. And then general stuff, we want general stuff to not be any of those 2. So we're going to blacklist dirt and the 3 ores. And then if you want to see it work, you just flip the lever. And you can see this is extracting because it lit up. So if you turn it off, it's dark. Turn it back on, it's light. And it should be good. There's some dirt, there's some ores, and there's not dirt and not ores. So that's all working nicely. Now it's going to teach you about moving fluids around. So it wants you to know about the auto output of the thermal expansion tanks and using the servo and the fluid duct to move it. So if you look at this top tank, at the bottom here is going to be a blue bar. You take your crescent hammer and you just right click it, it'll turn orange. Orange means it's going to output to the inventory under it if it can. And then this servo, it's dark so it's not doing anything, but we don't have a lever nearby to flip, so we can just go in here and we could change the redstone control to ignored, or we can even do low. And then it will start moving the fluid for us. Now it's going to teach you about basic power generation using a basic coal generator from Actually Additions. It wants us to throw this down here. And then it wants us to fill it with some coal. And then we take these flux ducts, which will transfer energy between the generator and other machines. It's not necessary right away, because see right here it says you could have your machines directly next to your generator. That makes it hard to expand if you need more machines. So planning that ahead of time is nice. So it wants us to place these down on the wall, so let's do that. And now we can start using energy. We're going to get a redstone furnace, and it wants us to make ingots with it. Redstone furnace is basically just a furnace, but it runs on RF instead of coal. In this case, it's technically running off of coal, but the return ratio should be better. We put one piece of coal in there, so we'll see what we get out of it. Usually that's enough to smelt 8 items. Now it wants us to know about storing RF. There are multiple similar things, but this one is an energy cell from thermal expansion. So it wants us to remove the flux duct, place it in the energy cell, and configure the energy cell. So I'm going to show you without configuring it first. What's going to happen? I'm just going to place it down and forget about it. As you can see, this still has power, but it's not going to get any new power if you don't configure it. We'll configure it in a moment. And then these thermal machines have tiers, which you can use to upgrade it. It gave us the final upgrade form to begin with for testing purposes. But as it says, they work faster and they get more energy. All you got to do is simply right click the machine with it. And then when you open the machine, there's this augmentation section, which expands one for each tier that you add, and it gave us 4 augments, which will increase its speed. So as you can see, its power is not going anywhere. So if we come back to the energy cell, when you place it down, the face that is facing you is the front. It's based on when you place it down, not when you open it up. So if you look at this the little gear here, it opens up the configuration. By default, energy cells are set to input from all sides except the bottom, which you can't see from here because it's touching the bottom. So what we need to do is simply change the right hand side to output mode, which is orange. And then it'll start outputting its energy over. I don't think we have enough coal because we lost some in the waters, so I'm just going to dump that all in. And then smelt up the rest of the iron. And as you can see, it's a lot faster than before. It also eats up more energy. If you hover over the augment and hold shift. Tells you additional energy is required. There we go. We got the ingots. So now we're going to go learn about the basic magic mods. Going to be back here. Going to show us Astral Sorcery and Botania. Two very, very good mods. So the main thing to know is Astral Sorcery starts with this floating crystal. And to find a floating crystal, you find them in the basement portion of these structures which generate in the world. There's also a smaller version which can be found in deserts, which is buried under the sand with just a tiny bit of the pillars sticking up in the corners. It's a bit smaller, but it also has a floating crystal in it. With that, it wants us to make a resonating wand. So we're going to place down the crafting table. If you don't know what this recipe is, you can simply type in what you're looking for, and then you can click on it, and it'll show you the recipe. If the blocks are shifting around like this, that means it accepts multiple types. So if you see the bottom of the tooltip, it says accepts any stone marble. And then if you have the ingredients on you, you can just say move items, and it'll put it in the crafting grid for you. Oh, we're going to need to stay there. Next, it wants us to make the luminous crafting table, which is kind of the beginning crafting table for Astral Sorcery, which you'll upgrade over time. And then, similarly, if you don't know, you can just look it up. And if you want to find everything in a mod, you can use the @ modifier, and it will bring up anything that matches what you bring up. So this will bring up every item that's in Astral Sorcery. That way, if you don't know the recipe, I've played with this mod before though, so I know what it is. You can just find the item. You can also put space and then like what you're actually looking for. So if you have multiple results, like let's look up tank. Say this was a lot larger of a list. You could say, no, I want the thermal tank. They could put thermal and then tank, and it'll filter it down for you. Next, we're going to craft illumination powder, which is actually very nice. This is beyond the scope of the tutorial, but one of the nicer uses for it is the cave illuminator. So just keep that in mind. This will light up caves under your world where you place it. It's a really good thing. And now, as you notice, you can't click out. So what you have to do is you take your resonating wand and you right click it. You'll get these nice little particle effects, and then it'll pop out on top. The thing to note is this bar down here under the crafting grid, this is your starlight that the table has access to. So if this is not enough, then you might have to move your table or give it floating crystals. So there's other ways of powering them up. Not so much at the beginning. So during the day, it'll be a lot lower, but we're at night, so it's pretty high up. Now we're getting into basic Botania, which is just across the road here. So here is teaching you how to use the petal apothecary and wants us to make an endo flame. So to do that, we're going to first fill the petal apothecary with water. Then or you could craft up these. The flowers have no real use after you collect them. So if there's not a quest to collect flowers, you can always just turn them into petals. There's no harm in that. So this recipe here, it shows you right above here, is 2 brown, 1 light gray, 1 red. And then the final ingredient is always a seed. Now the order you add these petals in does not matter. So I can add, say, red, a brown, a light gray, and then another brown. And then if you exit and hover over it, it'll tell you, yep, that's a good recipe. That's going to make an endoflame. And toss in the seed. Now it's going to teach you how to move mana around. This is pretty important because the flowers don't auto move mana by themselves. They require this spreader. So if we place the flower down, by default, since the mana spreader was already here, the flower will be linked up to the mana spreader, as you can see by the little thing by the unknown status. If it is not automatically there, you can shift right click it and then shift right click the spreader and it'll link it up. And similarly, to link the mana spreader to the mana pool, shift right click it and then shift right click the pool. Now they're all linked up. So when this endoflame starts generating power, it's going to feed it to the mana spreader. The mana spreader is going to get up to a burst point, and it's going to shoot off a little laser to it, and then it's going to fill up the mana pool some. Now these endoflames don't take multiple items. When it's burning, it's just burning until it runs out. So be careful not to let your items just vanish in the world. Getting ahead here. Now it wants us to craft mana steel. This is a basic way of crafting in Botania, where you just throw things into the mana pool. So you just drop them in like that. Then you get your ingots. There's more things than just ingots. There's diamonds, ender pearls you could throw in there, some dust. And then this is later progression. It's talking about the portal to Alfheim, which is similar to the mana pool. You just throw the things in and you get out based off of what you throw in. This stuff is documented in JEI, so it'll show you. And you can hit uses on it if you want to see everything. In this case, we're just throwing 2 mana steel ingots in there to get 1 element. Careful about throwing in stuff that doesn't belong, like coal. It's just gone. There we go. Now we are done. With that, we'll go check out the spawn before calling it good. Not bad. Anyways, that's it for the quick little tutorial. So, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.